John Carter looked at the screen in front of him, frowning. The numbers and lines flickered across the console like a small storm trapped in a box. He had been staring at this data for hours, trying to make sense of it, but nothing seemed normal. The distortions near human space were unusual, unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. He rubbed his eyes and leaned back in his chair, thinking that maybe he had missed something. "John, are you seeing what I am?" a voice asked from behind him. It was Lisa Morrow, the Council's youngest ambassador. She had a reputation for calm thinking, and John often relied on her perspective when things seemed confusing. "Yes," John said slowly, "but it doesn't make sense. The patterns, they shouldn't be possible. Humans aren't supposed to have this kind of technology. They're still a young species." Lisa walked over and peered at the screen. The data showed brief flashes, small distortions, and sudden disappearances of what appeared to be energy signatures. All of them originated near human colonies. The Council had long monitored humanity because humans were loud, fast learners, and sometimes reckless, but no one had believed they could hide such advanced technology. "Maybe it's a glitch," Lisa suggested. "The sensors can sometimes act up near dense star systems. We've seen strange readings before." "I wish it were that simple," John replied, shaking his head. "Look at this. The distortions are too precise, too controlled." He tapped a finger on the console. "It's like something is moving in ways we can't track." Far away in human space, Ethan Brooks, an officer of the human Navy, was walking across the deck of a massive ship. Unlike what the Council believed, humans had been quietly building fleets capable of faster-than-light travel for decades. The exercise he was overseeing now was routine for his people, but if anyone outside human space saw it, they would have thought the fleet was still weak. Ethan paused and looked at the ships lined up in perfect formation. They moved as if they were one mind, gliding silently through the black void. No sensors could detect their full capabilities. He smiled. Humans had learned long ago that being noticed was dangerous. Showing strength too early could bring war before humanity was ready. Back at the Council, John was growing more worried. He called for a meeting with other analysts. They gathered in a glass chamber that floated above the main Council floor, overlooking the stars. "I've been following these readings for months," John said, pointing to a series of charts and graphs. "The energy bursts, the sudden disappearances, they're not natural. They match none of the known movement models. Something is out there and it's deliberate." One of the older analysts, a being named Tillich, leaned forward. Tillich's species had 6 arms and skin that glowed faintly in the dark. "Deliberate? Are you suggesting humans?" Tillich's voice was full of skepticism. "They are still at the edge of our maps. They barely understand hyperspace theory. This doesn't make sense." "I know it doesn't," John admitted. "But every time we scan that region, the patterns repeat. They appear, move, vanish. It's like they are testing our sensors." Lisa crossed her arms. "Or maybe they're experimenting with new technology. But to hide something this big, it would take decades of planning. Humans just don't have that experience. At least, that's what we thought." John shook his head. "That's exactly why it's so concerning. What if we've been underestimating them all this time?" While the Council debated, human scientists and officers worked quietly in orbital stations and hidden starbases. Commander Amy Ford was among them, leading a fleet drill far beyond the known maps. She coordinated dozens of ships that could move at faster-than-light speeds without leaving any trace. Every movement was calculated, every fleet rotation planned so that nothing could be detected by sensors outside human space. "Report," Amy said to her lieutenant. "All ships are in position, Commander," the lieutenant replied. "We can begin the jump sequence." Amy nodded. Humans had learned early in their history that survival meant staying hidden until the right moment. The Council believed humans were still exploring slowly, confined to their own system, but in reality, humans had mapped vast regions of the galaxy. This was the secret they kept, the hidden fleet that would one day surprise anyone who thought humans were weak. Back on the council floor, Tillich and other species began to feel uneasy. More sensor reports arrived, showing strange energy bursts at unpredictable intervals. Ambassador Lisa watched the readings silently, feeling the weight of the unknown pressing down on them. "We need to send a team," Tillich said finally. "Someone has to investigate. Humans can't be capable of such sophistication, but if they are," he trailed off, unable to imagine the consequences. John nodded. "I agree, but whatever we do, we have to be careful. If humans are hiding something, they won't take kindly to being discovered prematurely." Meanwhile, Ethan Brooks gave the order to execute a demonstration maneuver. Dozens of ships blinked out of normal space, reappearing in exact formation moments later. From outside, there was no record of their jump, no disturbance in the surrounding stars. "Beautiful," Ethan said quietly to himself. "The council has no idea." In the council chambers, John and Lisa stared at the incoming report. One of the probes sent toward human space had disappeared entirely. The council had never lost a probe like this before. It had vanished without a trace, no debris, no signal, nothing. This can't be happening," one council member whispered. Others murmured nervously. The idea that humans could hide such capability was starting to settle in their minds, and with it, a sense of fear. John turned to Lisa. "We need more data. We can't act on guesses, but if the humans are this advanced, we may already be too late to control what's coming." Lisa nodded, her eyes following the path of the vanished probe. Maybe humans aren't the species we thought they were. Maybe they've been preparing, quietly, for a reason we don't understand yet." In a hidden command room far from council eyes, Ethan and Amy watched the sensor reports that humans had allowed to reach council space. It was all carefully calculated, designed to create curiosity, not fear. Yet John and Lisa's reactions were exactly what they had anticipated. The council would begin to suspect, but they would not understand the full scale. "Do you think they'll panic?" Ethan asked Amy. Amy shrugged. "If they do, it will be their mistake. We are not here to attack. We are here to be ready." The galaxy has always assumed strength comes from noise and speed. Humans learned early that true strength comes from patience. For John, the hours passed slowly. Every new report made him more anxious. He couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was not what it appeared to be. The young species they had been monitoring for centuries had quietly grown into something far beyond expectations. "I need to speak with the council leaders," John finally said. "We have to decide if we act or wait. If humans are hiding a fleet this size, any sudden move could trigger, I don't know, something we aren't prepared for." Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. "Be careful. Humans are clever, patient, and they observe before acting. Rushing into this could make things worse. Sometimes the best choice is to watch, wait, and learn." Meanwhile, in human space, Amy gave the final command for the fleet drill to end. The ships returned to hidden bases, disappearing as quietly as they had arrived. Humanity remained in the shadows, exactly where they wanted to be. The galaxy believed them to be weak, small, and unprepared, but the council's whispers had begun. John, Lisa, and the other analysts now faced the first sign of a growing fear that would ripple through every species. The simple truth was that humans were not what they seemed, and the galaxy would soon have to reconsider its assumptions. Ethan and Amy exchanged quiet glances. Humans had learned to hide their strength, to move unseen, and to wait until the right moment. That moment was not yet, but when it came, it would change everything. As the council debated, John stared at the stars outside the chamber, feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. He did not yet know how many human ships were out there, nor the full scale of their technology. All he knew was that something powerful, silent, and unseen was moving just beyond reach, and humanity was its master. And for the first time in centuries, The council understood that they had underestimated a species. They thought they fully controlled the council was in confusion. Reports of strange energy bursts near human space kept coming, and John Carter knew that the situation was serious. He and Lisa Morrow had been analyzing the patterns all night, trying to understand what humans were hiding. The council, which had always assumed humans were still small and weak, now faced evidence they could not ignore. "I don't understand it," Tillich said again, his 6 glowing arms folding nervously. "How could humans have ships that move like this? It breaks all our theories." "They have been hiding," John said quietly. "For decades, maybe longer. This is not just one ship. It is a fleet, and it is far bigger than we imagined." The council chambers grew tense. Whispers traveled like fire through the room. Some members refused to believe it, calling it an exaggeration. Others began to fear that humans were no longer a species to be ignored. Far from the council, in human territory, Commander Amy Ford was preparing for a demonstration of a different kind. Not a drill, not a test, but a controlled reveal to show how humans could move through space unseen. She and her officers had been training for years, studying the best methods to remain hidden, even from the most advanced sensors in the galaxy. "All ships ready?" Amy asked over the comms. Her voice was calm, steady, giving no hint of excitement. "Ready, Commander," her lieutenant replied. "We can begin when you give the order." Amy nodded and looked at the stars. They were black and silent, hiding the secrets of humanity's fleet. She gave the command, and one by one, ships vanished from normal space. There was no trace, no energy signature, no movement that any outside observer could detect. Then, just as suddenly, the ships appeared in a distant system in perfect formation. "Excellent," Amy said quietly. "Everything is as expected. We are invisible yet ready." Back at the council, John and Lisa watched as new data arrived. A probe had been sent to follow the vanished ships, but it disappeared entirely. No signal, no debris, nothing. It was as if the ships had never existed. "Humans are better at hiding than we ever imagined," John said. "This is not just technology, this is strategy. They are patient, careful, and they know how to stay unseen." Lisa frowned. "They are planning something. I don't know what, but they are not just exploring. There is a method to this. Everything we are seeing is deliberate." John nodded. He had been following human development for years, watching them slowly grow. Humans had always been clever, sometimes reckless, but they were never seen as a serious threat. Now everything had changed. In another part of human space, scientist Kevin Long was analyzing data from distant systems. He had been part of the human program to map the galaxy in secret. Humans did not need the Council's permission, and they did not seek recognition. They explored, learned, and prepared. "Commander," Kevin said as Amy entered the lab, "the Council's probes are still missing. They have no idea where our ships went. We have covered our tracks completely." Amy smiled. "Good, the less they know, the better. One day they will realize we were never weak. One day the galaxy will see humans as they truly are." Back at the Council, panic began to spread. Senator Paul Harris, a member of a cautious species known for careful thinking, spoke up. "We cannot underestimate humans any longer," he said. "Our probes have failed. Energy bursts appear without explanation. If humans have a fleet this size, we could be facing a major strategic problem. We must consider containment or diplomacy, but we must act fast." Tillich shook his head. "Containment would be dangerous. Humans are clever. They hide, they observe, and they act when they need to. Rushing into action could trigger something we cannot control." "What do we know about their fleet?" another council member asked. John shook his head. "We only see glimpses. The fleet is faster, smarter, and more numerous than we ever imagined. And they have learned to disappear completely. It is not just technology, it is strategy, discipline, and patience." Meanwhile, humans continued their quiet preparations. Admiral Corinne Blake, one of the top leaders of the fleet, oversaw the movements. She knew the fleet was ready. Every ship, every crew had trained for decades to operate silently. The galaxy believed humans were young and small, but in truth, humans were patient warriors, guardians who learned the value of preparation. All sectors accounted for? Amy asked during a briefing. Yes, Commander, Corinne replied. We are fully mapped. The Council has no clue. Every ship, every jump point, every hidden base is secure. Amy nodded. Good, we wait. Our strength is not in noise, it is in patience. We do not need to show our power until it is necessary. The galaxy must learn this on its own in time. Back at the Council, John and Lisa were compiling every piece of information they could. Charts, energy readings, probe reports, all pointed to the same conclusion. Humanity had hidden its fleet. The fleet was enormous, far beyond the Council's assumptions. Look at this, John said, pointing at a diagram showing sudden jumps of energy signatures. Each burst corresponds to a ship or a group of ships. They move without leaving tracks. It is a pattern we cannot decode fully. It is deliberate, hidden, perfect. Lisa frowned. They are not showing all of it. This is only a fraction. I fear that if we try to intervene, we will only see what they allow us to see. Humans control the narrative, even without our knowledge. The Council began to debate. Some argued that humans must be contained before they became dangerous. Others suggested observing silently, trying to learn more before taking any action. The room was filled with tension, the kind of tension that comes from realizing you have been underestimating someone for too long. Meanwhile, human fleet drills continued in secret. Ships appeared in systems far from human space, then vanished again, leaving no trace. Officer Ethan Brooks monitored every movement, ensuring that nothing could be detected by outsiders. We are ghosts, Ethan said to his team. We exist only when we choose to. The galaxy thinks we are small, weak, and slow. Let them believe that. It is their mistake. Kevin Long, monitoring data from hidden sensors, added, every probe they send is lost. Every signal they try to trace disappears. They are learning nothing about us. The Council believes they are monitoring human space, but in reality, we control the story. Amy watched the report silently. She knew humans had learned an important lesson. The galaxy valued strength that was visible, but humans valued strength that was invisible until it was needed. Humans are patient, she said softly. We do not attack without reason. We do not reveal ourselves without need. We prepare, we observe, and when the moment comes, we act. That is our way. Back at the Council, John was exhausted. Hours of observation, hours of analysis had brought him to one conclusion. Humans were not what they seemed. The young species he had been monitoring, the noisy and sometimes reckless humans, had been quietly growing in power, mapping the galaxy and hiding their fleet. How long have they been doing this? Lisa asked, her voice low. Decades, John replied. Longer, maybe. Every jump, every hidden base, every unexplained energy burst, we missed it all. We assumed humans were small. We assumed they could not be clever enough to hide this. We were wrong. The Council realized something important. Humans were not only capable of faster-than-light travel, they had mastered the art of hiding it. They had built a fleet that could move unseen, strike unseen, and observe unseen. Humanity had prepared for the galaxy's challenges in secret. Meanwhile, Amy and her team reviewed the human fleet once more. The ships were ready, hidden, and disciplined. They were not aggressive, but they were prepared. Humans had learned the importance of patience, the strength of observation, and the power of being underestimated. Let them panic, Amy said quietly. Let them wonder what we are capable of. We do not need to show our full strength yet. Patience is our greatest weapon. John and Lisa watched as more reports arrived. The Council's fear grew. The young humans, the species they had assumed would be simple to manage, had hidden their fleet perfectly. No one could predict their moves. The Council had only seen what humans allowed them to see. And humans continued to watch. From their hidden bases, from their secret systems, they prepared for a future where the galaxy would realize the truth. Humans were patient, clever, and far stronger than anyone believed. John turned to Lisa, his face pale. "We have underestimated them. We have assumed they were weak. We were wrong, very wrong," Lisa nodded. "And the worst part, we don't even know how big their fleet is. This is only the beginning." Far away, Amy watched the stars. Her fleet remained invisible, ready, and disciplined. The Council had begun to suspect, but they did not yet know the full truth. Humans had prepared quietly, patiently, and perfectly. The galaxy would have to learn that humans were not the species it thought they were. And as John continued to study the data, he realized that the Council's panic was only the first sign. The galaxy was about to discover the truth about humanity, and when it did, nothing would be the same. The Galactic Council chambers were alive with tension. Whispers and worried voices filled the room as representatives from dozens of species argued over what to do about humanity. John Carter and Lisa Morrow watched quietly, their faces tight with concern. The data was clear. Humans had hidden a massive, faster-than-light fleet, one the Council could not detect fully, and their patience made them unpredictable. "We cannot ignore this any longer," Senator Paul Harris said, standing tall. His species was cautious by nature, and he had spent decades warning others about the dangers of underestimating any growing civilization. "Humans are not weak. They have been hiding, building, training, and moving without our knowledge. They could strike at any time. Containment may be necessary." Tillich shook his glowing arms in frustration. "Containment? Are you insane? We have no idea of their full strength. They disappear, they reappear, they hide their movements. If we try to contain them, we risk provoking them. We know nothing about how humans will respond." Another council member, a tall, thin being named Farron, spoke up. "Then what do you suggest? We wait. We do nothing while a species we assumed weak becomes powerful enough to dominate us all. This is a disaster waiting to happen." John cleared his throat. "We are seeing only a fraction of what humans can do. The fleet we have detected is enormous, yes, but it is also disciplined, intelligent, and patient. Humans are not reckless. They do not reveal themselves until it is necessary. Attacking or rushing at them could be catastrophic." Lisa nodded in agreement. "Humans are observers. They do not act without reason. Their fleet is prepared but not aggressive. If we approach them carefully, we might avoid unnecessary conflict. If we act too quickly, we could trigger a war before we understand what we are facing." Senator Harris frowned. "We cannot risk waiting too long. Humans are growing in power every year. If we do not act, we may never have the advantage." The room fell silent for a moment. Every representative knew the Council had underestimated humanity for decades, assuming humans were too young, too small, and too inexperienced to pose any real threat. Now, the evidence forced them to reconsider everything. Meanwhile, Human Fleet Command continued its quiet operations. Commander Amy Ford and Admiral Corinne Blake reviewed the latest intelligence reports. They knew the Council was beginning to notice patterns, but the humans were careful. Every fleet movement was planned, every jump was precise, and nothing was ever left to chance. "They are beginning to suspect," Amy said quietly, "but they still do not know the scale of our fleet. We have only shown them fragments enough to make them curious, not enough to make them panic completely." "Good," Corinne replied. "Humans are patient. Our strength is in observation and preparation. If the Council overreacts, it will be their mistake, not ours." Back at the Council, debates grew heated. Some species called for immediate action, fleets to be deployed near human borders, probe reinforcements, even covert strikes. Others urged caution, observation, diplomacy, and attempts to contact humans for discussion. John stood and addressed the room. "We need to understand humans before making any decisions. Every move we make will be observed. If we act aggressively, they will respond in ways we cannot predict. They have patience. They have strategy. They are not like any species we have dealt with before. Senator Harris shook his head. Understanding takes time. They could use that time to expand further, to strengthen their fleet, to prepare for us. We are running out of options. Tillich spoke up again, his arms trembling slightly. We are out of options precisely because we underestimated them for so long, but rushing into war would be worse than doing nothing. Humans do not act like other species. If we provoke them, we may trigger events that cannot be stopped. Lisa raised a hand. There is another option: contact. Open a dialogue. If humans are as disciplined and intelligent as we now know, they may respond to diplomacy rather than hostility. They have been patient for decades, learning about the galaxy, and I believe they understand caution better than anyone here. John nodded. We have to consider this carefully. Humans have hidden their fleet perfectly, but they are not reckless. If they feel threatened, they will act, and we cannot predict the scale or speed of their response. We need to move with care. The Council voted to send an envoy to human space. Not a military strike, not a probe, but representatives who would attempt first contact. They would approach slowly, making it clear that the Council wished to understand, not attack. The decision was tense, and many members whispered doubts about whether humans would respond at all. Meanwhile, human intelligence had already detected the Council's movements. Ethan Brooks monitored signals and fleet activity, noting the envoy's approach. Humans had anticipated this reaction for decades and were ready. They are coming, Ethan said to Amy. But they do not know what we have hidden. The envoy will see only what we allow. Amy smiled. Exactly. Humans do not need to reveal our full strength yet. We will meet them on our terms, and they will learn that patience is a weapon. The envoy approached cautiously. The Council had sent a small diplomatic ship, unarmed, hoping to signal peaceful intentions. The humans detected it almost immediately, tracking its movements without revealing their own position. Commander Amy gave orders for a controlled reveal. A small part of the fleet would appear near the envoy, enough to signal capability, but not enough to show full scale. Keep it subtle, Amy said. They need to see we are prepared but not aggressive. The galaxy must understand caution. The envoy's crew saw the first human ships appear, sleek, fast, silent. The energy signature was minimal, almost imperceptible, but the technology was unmistakable. Human ships moved in formation, precise and disciplined, a small fraction of the fleet that remained hidden. They are enormous, one of the Council envoys whispered. This is more than we expected. Yet controlled, another added. They are not attacking, they are just there. John and Lisa watched the data streaming from the envoy. The Council's representatives were witnessing humanity's power firsthand, and fear began to grow. They had underestimated humans for decades, and now the truth was impossible to ignore. Senator Harris spoke again, voice tense. This is far larger than we anticipated. The humans, they have been preparing quietly. We have been blind, and now we face the consequences of our ignorance. Tillich remained calm, though inside he felt the fear rising. This is exactly why we cannot act aggressively. Humans are disciplined, patient, and clever. Any rash action will be disastrous. We need diplomacy, observation, and careful planning. Back in human space, Amy reviewed the situation. The envoy had seen a small fraction of the fleet, exactly as planned. Humans controlled the narrative. They did not need to attack or dominate yet. Patience, strategy, and careful display of capability had ensured that the Council began to respect and fear humanity, without a single shot being fired. We are doing exactly what we planned, Amy said to Ethan. They are learning to respect us without knowing the full extent of our power. Patience wins. The envoy attempted communication. Human translators decoded the message and responded carefully. Humanity's voice was calm, clear, and firm. "We are aware of your presence," the message said. "Our fleet is prepared but not aggressive. We do not seek conflict. We observe, we prepare, and we act when necessary. Know that any threat to our people will be met with full response. Until then, we are patient, disciplined, and watching." The council envoys received the message, and fear spread among them. Humanity was not reckless. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had hidden its fleet, prepared in secret, and now communicated with calm authority. It was unlike anything the council had seen before. John turned to Lisa. "This is the moment we realize we underestimated them completely. Humans are patient, disciplined, and far more capable than any of us imagined. Our assumptions were wrong." Lisa nodded slowly. "And this is only the beginning. Humans are teaching us a lesson. Patience, preparation, and restraint are just as powerful as any weapon. We cannot fight them with arrogance anymore. We must respect them or risk disaster." The council returned to debate, but the tone had changed. They could no longer speak of humans as weak, young, or inexperienced. The evidence was clear. Humans had hidden a massive fleet, trained for decades, and now revealed only a fraction to make a point. Fear replaced arrogance, and caution replaced certainty. Meanwhile, human ships returned to hidden positions. The envoy had seen enough to understand humanity's capabilities, but the full strength of the fleet remained a secret. Humans would wait, observe, and prepare as they always had. "They will remember this," Amy said. "The galaxy has begun to understand that humans are patient, clever, and disciplined. We have only shown a fraction, but the lesson is already clear." Ethan added quietly, "And the council will never forget it. We did not attack, but we have shown them our strength. Patience and discipline are our weapons, and they are more effective than aggression." John and Lisa continued to analyze every piece of information from the envoy. The council's panic and fear were growing. Humans had not only hidden their fleet, but had also revealed enough to force the galaxy to reconsider its assumptions. Humanity's patient approach had changed the rules. And far away in hidden human space, Amy looked at the stars, calm and focused. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not aggressive. They were ready, patient, and disciplined. The council had begun to understand slowly that the young species they had underestimated for centuries was now a major power in the galaxy. Humans had prepared. Humans had hidden. Humans had observed. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The Galactic Council was still reeling from the encounter. Humanity had revealed only a fraction of its fleet to the envoy, yet the message was clear. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not weak. Humans had been preparing, observing, and hiding their strength for decades. Every member of the council knew that assumptions they had made for centuries were now proven wrong. John Carter and Lisa Morrow watched the latest reports in silence. The envoy's message had reached all council members, and the fear was growing. Whispers traveled quickly. Humans were patient, disciplined, and capable of controlling their presence in space. Every report showed precision and intelligence. Humanity had mastered the art of waiting. "They could have attacked at any moment," John said quietly, "but they did not. Instead, they showed us their discipline. They have been preparing for the galaxy, not for conquest. That is far more dangerous than open war." Lisa nodded. "Humans are not like other species. They do not act impulsively. They wait, they plan, and they strike only when necessary. We cannot predict them with our old assumptions." In hidden human space, Commander Amy Ford and Admiral Corinne Blake oversaw the fleet. Ships moved in formation, ready but invisible. Every crew member understood the importance of patience. Humans did not need to show their full strength yet. The Council had begun to realize that humans could dominate the galaxy, but humans had chosen restraint instead. "Our message has been received," Amy said quietly. "They know we are strong, but they do not know the full extent. Patience has done what aggression never could. They respect us and they fear underestimating us." "It is working perfectly," Ethan Brooks replied. The council is panicking, but we have not fired a single shot. They are learning the lesson themselves. John and Lisa watched as council members debated the next steps. Some species argued for stronger diplomatic contact, hoping to build trust. Others argued that humans must be contained before they grew stronger. The debate became heated, but one thing was clear: no one could treat humanity as weak again. Senator Paul Harris spoke up, voice tense. We underestimated them for too long. Their fleet is hidden, their movements are precise, and their patience is frightening. If we act carelessly, we risk provoking a species we do not understand. Humans are not reckless. They are disciplined. We have to proceed with caution. Tillich added, we now realize our assumptions were dangerous. Humans have hidden their fleet for a reason. They have studied us, our tactics, and our weaknesses. They are patient observers. Any rash action could trigger consequences we cannot control. The council realized that humanity had done something remarkable. They had become a major power in the galaxy without anyone noticing. Their fleet, hidden for decades, was disciplined and intelligent. Humans had prepared quietly, yet their impact on the galaxy was now undeniable. Meanwhile, human intelligence continued to monitor council activity. Kevin Long analyzed every report, ensuring that humans understood how the council reacted. Every movement, every word, every decision was observed. Humanity did not act aggressively, but they were ready for anything. They are learning, Kevin said. They fear us, but they also respect our restraint. Humans have shown strength without attacking. The galaxy has begun to understand that patience and preparation are as powerful as weapons. Amy nodded. And that is exactly the point. Humans wait. Humans observe. Humans act only when necessary. Our strength lies in our discipline and strategy, not in noise or aggression. The council will remember this for decades. Back in the council chambers, John and Lisa continued to watch reports from the envoy. The diplomats had returned, and the human fleet had quietly disappeared, leaving only traces for the council to study. Every member of the council knew that humanity could dominate the galaxy if it chose to, but the humans had chosen to remain patient. They have given us a warning, John said softly. Not a threat, but a lesson. They do not act recklessly. They act when necessary, and when they do, they will be unstoppable. We must respect them. Lisa nodded. And they have shown us that restraint can be more powerful than aggression. Humans did not attack, but they made sure we understand their capabilities. This is a quiet warning, and it will not be forgotten. In hidden human space, Admiral Corinne Blake addressed the fleet. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. We have prepared ourselves, trained ourselves, and hidden ourselves for decades. The galaxy now knows that humans are not weak, and that is enough. We wait, we observe, and we protect our people. That is our mission. Commander Amy Ford looked at the stars. The fleet remained invisible, disciplined, and ready. Humans had learned that the galaxy valued visible power, but humans valued patience, preparation, and control. They will never underestimate us again, Amy said softly, and they will remember that restraint can be the greatest power of all. Back at the council, debates continued, but the tone had changed. Fear replaced arrogance, caution replaced certainty. Humans had not attacked, yet the council understood that they could not treat humanity as a weak, young species any longer. John turned to Lisa. We have underestimated them for too long. The fleet they revealed is only a fraction of what exists. They have patience, strategy, and intelligence. The galaxy must learn to respect them. Lisa nodded. And we have seen the first lesson. Humans wait, observe, and act only when necessary. That is their greatest strength. The council must adjust its view of them, or risk disaster in the future. Meanwhile, human intelligence continued to track the council's movements. Ethan Brooks watched reports of fleets and decisions, noting every hesitation, every sign of panic. Humanity had not acted aggressively, But the Council's fear showed that humans had already won the first battle without firing a single shot. "They are beginning to understand," Ethan said. "Humans have shown strength without aggression. Patience and preparation have made the Council respect us. They will think twice before acting recklessly." Amy smiled. "And that is the lesson we hoped they would learn. Humans do not strike without reason, but we are ready. We protect our people, we observe, and we prepare. That is what makes us strong." Back in the council chambers, John and Lisa continued to study the envoy reports. The humans had delivered their message clearly. They were prepared, disciplined, and patient. They had hidden their fleet for decades and could have acted at any moment. The council understood that humanity's restraint was a form of power unlike any other species. Senator Harris spoke again, voice calm but serious. "Humans are not reckless. They are disciplined. They have been preparing quietly, and now they have made themselves known. We must adjust our strategies and our assumptions. The galaxy will never see humans the same way again." Tillich added, "We have learned that patience and observation are as powerful as any weapon. Humans have taught us a lesson that we cannot forget. Their restraint is a warning in itself." John nodded. "And the lesson is clear. Humanity waits, observes, and protects its own. They do not strike without reason, and they do not reveal their full strength until necessary. We have underestimated them for too long, and the consequences could have been catastrophic if we acted aggressively." Far away, Amy and Corinne continued to oversee the fleet. Ships moved quietly, ready for any situation, yet invisible to the galaxy. Humans had achieved what few species could. They had become a major power without anyone realizing it. Patience, discipline, and careful strategy had made the Council respect them without a single battle. "We are ready for whatever comes next," Amy said. "The Council has seen enough to understand that humans are not weak, but we will not show everything. The galaxy must learn that patience, preparation, and restraint are as important as power itself." Kevin Long added, "They have begun to understand, but they do not know the full truth. Humans control the narrative. We reveal only what we choose, and that makes us even stronger." Back at the council, debates continued, but the tone had changed completely. Humans were no longer considered weak, inexperienced, or reckless. They were patient, disciplined, and capable of controlling their presence in the galaxy. The Council realized that humans could dominate if necessary, but they had chosen restraint instead. John turned to Lisa. "Humans have done what few species could. They have become powerful, disciplined, and respected without a single attack. Patience is their weapon, and the galaxy has learned that lesson." Lisa nodded. "And the Council will remember it. Humans have shown strength without aggression, and that is more powerful than any warship or fleet. The galaxy has changed, and humanity has changed it without firing a shot." In hidden human space, Amy looked at the stars, calm and steady. The fleet remained ready, disciplined, and invisible. Humans had prepared, observed, and waited. The galaxy had learned its first lesson. Humanity was not to be underestimated, and restraint could be the most powerful weapon of all. And as the Council continued to debate, human intelligence continued to observe. Patience, preparation, and careful strategy had ensured that the galaxy respected humanity without a single battle. The lesson was clear. Humans were powerful, disciplined, and patient, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Galactic Council panics after the discovery of humanity's hidden FTL fleet.